Imagine words so powerful that they could bend fate itself. A whispered incantation, a vengeful oath, a forbidden spell, capable of dooming kings, cursing entire bloodlines, and summoning relentless misfortune. From the chilling curse of King Tut's tomb to the wrath of ancient witches, curses have haunted mythology and folklore for millennia. But what makes a curse so terrifying? And why do they hold such power in the minds of people across different cultures? Let's journey into the dark world of curses, where words become weapons, fate is rewritten, and the unseen forces of the universe conspire against those who dare to defy them. What defines a curse? Before we dive into legendary curses, let's define what a curse actually is. Unlike ordinary misfortune, a curse is a deliberate, supernatural act of harm, a spell, a divine punishment, or even an ancestral burden passed down through generations. Curses typically fall into three main categories. Spoken curses, words of power uttered with intent, like a witch's hex or a god's decree. Object-based curses, items infused with misfortune, like cursed jewels or haunted relics. Bloodline curses, generational misfortunes passed through families, punishing descendants for the sins of their ancestors. But no matter the form, all curses share one thing in common. They cannot be undone easily, if at all. The victim is bound to their fate, often trapped in a cycle of doom. Curses in ancient mythology. When gods strike back, curses weren't just a human invention. Even the gods were known for their wrath. Mythologies from every culture tell of deities punishing mortals with terrifying curses. The curse of Prometheus, Greek mythology. Prometheus, the titan who defied Zeus by stealing fire and gifting it to humanity, was condemned to an eternal curse. His punishment? He was chained to a rock, and each day an eagle would feast on his liver, only for it to regenerate overnight. His suffering would never end. The curse of Medusa, Greek mythology. Medusa was once a beautiful maiden, but after being violated in Athena's temple, she was cursed by the goddess herself. Athena transformed Medusa into a gorgon, her gaze turning anyone who looked at her into stone. But was this truly justice, or an act of divine cruelty disguised as a curse? The curse of the Pharaohs, Egyptian mythology. Ancient Egyptians believed in powerful curses placed upon tombs to protect the dead from grave robbers. The most infamous of these is King Tutankhamun's curse. When his tomb was opened in 1922, those who entered met mysterious and untimely deaths, fueling the legend that ancient forces still protected the boy king's resting place. These myths reveal something essential about curses. They were often divine punishments, meant to warn mortals against defying the gods. Curses in folklore, witches, vengeance, and hexes. While mythology speaks of gods cursing mortals, folklore tells a different story, one where humans wield the power of curses. The witch's hex, curses as a weapon of the oppressed. Throughout history, witches have been feared for their supposed ability to curse those who wronged them. The idea of the witch's curse became so ingrained in European culture that during the witch trials, simply being accused of casting a curse could lead to execution. Common folkloric curses included the evil eye, a malevolent glare believed to bring misfortune. The werewolf curse. In many European tales, those cursed by witches could transform into monsters. The lover's curse. Spells of eternal sorrow cast upon betrayers and unfaithful lovers. The gypsy's curse. A nomadic punishment. Another famous folkloric curse is the gypsy's curse, a concept popularized in books and movies. Romani people were often stereotyped as possessing powerful magic, and it was believed that offending them could result in an inescapable fate of doom. Famous cursed objects in folklore. The Hope Diamond, a cursed jewel that supposedly brought death and ruin to its owners. The Dybbuk box, a haunted wine cabinet rumored to contain an evil spirit that brings illness and misfortune. The cursed mirror. European folklore often speaks of mirrors that trap souls, making them prime objects for curses. Folklore paints curses as invisible weapons, wielded by the powerless to punish those who wronged them. The psychology of curses. Why do we fear them? But why do curses have such a grip on the human imagination? Even in an age of science, people still fear curses. And here's why. 1. The power of suggestion. Self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe you are cursed, you might subconsciously start noticing every bit of bad luck, reinforcing the idea that the curse is real. This is known as the nocebo effect, the opposite of the placebo effect. 2. Superstition and confirmation bias. Humans naturally look for patterns. If two bad things happen after encountering a cursed object, our brain makes the connection and assumes causation. 3. The fear of the unknown. Curses tap into deep-rooted fears of fate, destiny, and forces beyond our control. Whether it's karma, divine punishment, or magic, curses remind us that some things cannot be undone. Can a curse be broken? Despite their fearsome reputation, many myths and folk stories suggest that curses can be undone, but always at a great cost. 1. Sacrifice and redemption. In many tales, the only way to lift a curse is through a selfless act. Giving up something of immense value, such as a life for a life, a person sacrifices themselves to break the curse. A sacred ritual requiring rare ingredients or supernatural intervention. Repentance, if the curse is punishment for wrongdoing, true redemption can lift it. 2. Counter curses and protective magic. Some cultures believe that a more powerful sorcerer can undo a curse. This is why counter spells and protection rituals exist in magic folklore. The power of belief. In modern psychology, breaking a curse can sometimes be as simple as believing you are free from it, proving that fear itself is often the strongest curse of all. The eternal power of curses. Curses have haunted mythology and folklore for centuries because they tap into our deepest fears. The fear of losing control, the fear of fate, and the fear that words alone can shape our destiny. From the gods of ancient Greece to the witches of medieval Europe, curses remind us that power is not always visible. Sometimes it's a whisper in the dark, a name spoken with venom, or a fate sealed by forces we cannot see. Even today, we knock on wood, avoid broken mirrors, and fear the number 13. Proof that the belief in curses still lingers in our modern world. But whether you believe in them or not, one thing is certain: curses have power, not because they are real, but because we make them real.